Yes, Imran.
I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District Board of Education to order at 7:01. I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is recorded, so please either silence or turn off your cell phones at this time. And I would like to call Principal Gonzalez and Wickland Elementary forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, you start. Say your name.
Thank you, and I understand Wickland Elementary has a presentation for us.
Yes, thank you, members of the board, Board President Palmo, Superintendent Dr. Nicholas, and members of the community. We have our wonderful scholars from our ASB leadership up here to present some of the great work that they are doing on behalf of Wickland and scholars. So I'm going to turn over to them, and they'll share the great work that they are doing here at Wickland.
Thank you and welcome.
Hi, I'm Ashlyn Welts, and I am Activities Director. Hi, I am Madeline Gordon, and I am ASB Secretary.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Verghese, and I'm Vice President.
Hi, I'm Justin Glenn, and I am the ASB Publicity Director.
Student ASB/leadership. Wickland Elementary ASB is made up of student leaders. Student leaders help set positive examples for peers. ASB leadership will participate in the MHHS Homecoming Parade representing the game Tetris. Leadership students met 4 days a week.
4 days a week, 4 days a week, all Wickland students receive extra support in ELA and math. Teachers work with a small group of students to assure success. Character Counts weekly meetings. Leadership students present character traits for the month. There can be skits, video presentations, slide presentations, and games.
Spirit Days. Every third Thursday of the month, scholars at Wickland participate in Spirit Days. For the month of September, students dressed up to represent their own culture. Tomorrow, scholars will take part in Superhero Day.
Hurricane Relief Drive. During the week of September the 25th to the 29th, scholars of Wickland Elementary wore a hat. They paid $1 each day to wear a hat all day. The money got donated to the American Red Cross for Hurricane Harvey and the Hurricane Irma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and for letting us all know all the wonderful things that Wickland ASB is doing. Questions or comments from the board?
Great job, students. Thank you so much for coming tonight and presenting to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Ann Goodrich. Here. Sharon Lampel.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Simran Gunsi.
Here.
Approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we will be recognizing the perfect CASP scores for the 2016-2017 school year, grades 5 through 11.
So I'm going to have the board come on down, and Let me explain how we're going to do this, because when you're the highest performing school district in San Joaquin County, you have big nights. So this is the second night that we have honored at a board meeting students who scored perfect on this CAS. This is the second round. So we're going to have the board set up here. We're going to do ELA first, then we're going to do math, and then we're going to have the students who scored perfect on both tests go third. Each round, ELA, math, and ELA and math, we're going to take we finish that round, we're going to take a picture with the kids. So kids, when you get called, you're going to come up over here to the right, you're going to loop around by Mr. Clemens, Trustee Clemens, and work your way over here to this wall, and then we'll bring you back in once everybody's been acknowledged, take a picture, and then you'll go back to your seat. And so without further ado, I'm going to move it over here.
Could we have people moving so the people in the hall can get in?
Yeah. I got that. If we could have everyone right there, just kind of work our way in. There's a little bit of space this way. We just kind of move it on in. It's going to be a little bit warm, but that's all good. Denise, who's the Tracy Trash? Welcome. Okay, come on in. Okay. So the other thing is, when you have so many kids being recognized for doing excellence and excellent work, and you acknowledge each one individually, what we want to do is acknowledge them with a single one clap. So when I call out their name, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and you're going to clap one time with enthusiasm. That will keep it, we'll go quickly, acknowledge every kid, but we'll also be able to have a good time doing it. So let's do a practice. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, last week was a little bit better. So we're going to try it one more time. And what we're going to do is try it again on 1, 2, 3. We're going to go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you in the back left. That was great practice. Okay, so moving forward, and with no further ado, we have a number of students who scored perfect on their CAS score last year in English Language Arts. So again, you're going to come up, Trustee Clemens, and over here. Okay, Isaac and Chananu. Highest performing school district in the county, also's parents have good rhythm. So let's get it. All right, Megan Beard. Well done. Kayla Buenaventura. Ryan Chum. Gavin James Garcia. Chiname Gokhale. Mark Horn. Marilyn James. Jiwoo Kim. Rowan Magbunwa. Sophia Mohammed. Sergio Munoz. Amrita Panala. Alicia Royce. Amajat Sanda. We're going to take a short pause as we get everybody caught up here. Rowan, Sophia, nice job. Sergio, well done. Well done. Alicia, okay, is everybody ready? Here we go. Isha Shetty. Brian Taw. Gerald Cairo Tungal. This one has 4 names, so hold your clap until I get to 4, okay? Christina Justine Rafaela Tai. Samantha Wilder. Jillian Wong. Saiharshita Yorelli. Udit Karthikeyan. Okay. So those are the students that RSVP'd, but there are more. So in case we didn't get an RSVP and we have a student in the audience, I'm going to quickly read off the name. We're not going to clap until the end. And then if you are called and you're here, please come up and get your certificate. So Sumaya Ahmed, or just enthusiastically clap. That's okay. Priyanka Baitha, Celine Lourdes Caroline Kalayan, Convinci Fernando, Elise Lowe, Danielle Luis Perez, Hofasa Kwazi, Raul Rajiv, Arshita Sandhiparthi, Annika Thub. Any of those students in the audience?
Yes, Elisa.
Oh, Lisa, well done. Okay. All right, everybody bring it together. Hi. What is your name? All right, we'll go quick. We'll get there. There you go. And it was, what's your name, sweetie? Elise? Well done. Okay, if I could have all the students come back here and take a picture. Denise Rizzo, I'd probably a good shot here with all the audience and all the kids winning awards.
Dr. Nicholas, we have one student that can give her.
Okay, we'll get you. What's your name, sweetie? What's that? Annika. There you go. Well done.
Go on the other side.
All right, come on in. Don't be shy, just walk on in. Keep on moving. If you're taller than I am, you have to stand in. That's how it works. We can just go here. There we go. Come on in. Maybe form a third row. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. All right, well done. Okay, last shots. Did I mention that was just the ELA group? Because we have math and the students who had perfect scores on both coming up. So let's give them a round of applause. There you go. Okay, for students scoring a perfect score on last spring's CASP in the category of math, Sarish Deshpande, Pranav Ganti, Ignatius Hahn, Nishanth Kamankanda, Chandraskar Kamaraj, Jamin Kim, Arash Mandela, Divya Mata, Mahit Namburu, Raiden Kwambo, Cindy Ta, let's get that last one, Cindy Ta. Do we have the non-RS peers? Is this Bo? Is this Bo? These are done. Okay. Okay. Okay, now. Both. Yeah, like Ryan out. So is that it? Okay. All right. And then these students did not RSVP, but if you're here, please come forward. Albert Guo, Vedika Kaniki, Banhu Surabi Hayulu. How do you say it? Albert. Right on, Albert. Nice job. All right, if we could have everyone come back over here. Albert, right here, bud. Okay, everybody, you guys come on over here. What's your name? How do you say it? That's a beautiful name. Awesome, beautiful name. All right, right on here, don't be shy, just walk on in. Perfect score, you get a perfect picture. Right? Okay, let's take the last shots. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. These are the both. Okay, so one of the things we like to do as the highest performing school district in the county is we like to challenge ourselves. So for these students who scored perfect on both the ELA and math portion, we're going to call out their name and you're going to clap twice. So we're going to practice one time and then we're going to see how we do. Okay, so let's go 1, 2, 3. All right. So for perfect score on ELA and math on the CASP, Sangeetha Barath, Udaya Bomudari, Pinru Hoing. You guys are good. Mahima Johnson, Shreya Matthew, Keen Sebastian, Pari Sharma, Aaron Sue. We're going to take a second. Mahima? Pari? No? Pari? Keen? All right. Oh, I should have done those back to back. Elizabeth Sue. Are you Aaron? Okay. Yoon Rong Ting. Aditi Varma. Caitlin Wong. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our perfect score recipients, CAFS 2017, ELA, and math. Unbelievable performance. Elizabeth Sue. Come on in and get your picture.
Everyone get medals?
Who's getting good grades? Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. Come on in.
Everybody get a medal? Back up a little bit.
Here, slide in a little bit. Like, think of it. Everyone stand right there.
Dr. Nicholas?
Yes. So we're going to ask everybody to hold up a second here. I understand that there was one student who was not called, so we're going to call her up. Jackie Pyrua, please come on up. And because we screwed that up, you get a longer clap, right? Nice try. Are you there too? All right. Here we go. Is there anyone else that we happen to miss somehow in this crowd of excellence?
Yeah, let's go here. My daughter, Sanskrit.
What is her name?
Sanskrit is sing.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So while you guys are posing for a picture, I have to apologize because we didn't call off the non-RSVPs, so we're going to keep calling. Sangriti Singh. Okay, I screw. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3. Elizabeth Varghese. Arshita Sandhiparty. Sumaya Ahmed. Priyanka Bhatia. Serene Lourdes Caroline Kalayan. I think we called these names already. Convinci Fernando. Danielle Louise Perez, Hafsa Kwazi, Samantha Wilder, Ryan Chun. All right. So now we're going to take a picture. Slide on in over here. Yeah, just come on over here, sister.
Good call.
Okay, so before we clap for all of the kids one more time, we want to recognize that parents are sending these excellent kids to school ready to learn, so let's everybody give ourselves applause as well. And finally, that's an exceptional number of perfect scores. Let's give everybody a round of applause one more time. Good job.
I would like to thank all the students and parents for the excellent work. And at this time, if students and parents would like to get home, feel free. If you'd like to join us for the rest of the meeting, feel free to do that as well. Also, a big thank you to our teachers and staffs.
That was good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff. Snag them. Latte smelling hand sanitizer.
Oops.
Fiona.
It was down.
You may pass it on, yes.
Latte smelling hand sanitizer. Oh, it does.
Sorry, I didn't purchase it. It's Fiona. It'll all smell beautiful now.
No, I'm good. I didn't shake anybody's hands. I just read. I did the best I could.
And you go, oops, I'm sorry.
Yes, please, thank you.
Oh, it's strong.
I know. Sorry. I try to pick other smells, but that's what came up in the purse. Thank you so much.
Lemon. Ooh, I can smell it though.
Yeah. Yeah, very latte.
Like latte-esque.
I can't believe how many kids we had come up here.
They're all just,
Oh, my
I was
goodness.
wondering when I came to what is going on?
Probably could have
I was confused
shifted
too.
one or more back, one grade level back last week. But
Yeah. No, but I think seeing these numbers is so impressive. Yeah, I wouldn't break it up. Yeah. Did you get stuck in the hall?
I was watching it on my phone in the lobby.
Well, we certainly know how to clear a room.
It was the hand sanitizer.
Moving on to item 6, committee reports, District Advisory Committee.
nothing to report. Then the next committee is on November 6th at 6:30.
District English Language Arts Committee.
Nothing to report at this time.
Education and Extracurricular Committee.
Nothing to report at this time.
And the next meeting will be Tuesday, November 28th
Thank you.
at 6:30.
We have not had a facilities meeting since our last board meeting, but after the tongue lashing I received to my last Facilities Committee report, I did some research to verify my recollection of the events and found a few things. At the LUSD board meeting of May 17th, 2017, a discussion item had been placed on the agenda at my request. After a short discussion where trustees Lampel, Balzerini, and Goodrich all spoke against the idea of changing district policy to allow alcohol on district property, I asked my fellow board members if anyone would object to my taking it to the Facilities Committee. Both trustees Balzerini and Lampel were opposed, while trustee Goodrich was in favor of taking it to the committee, even making a suggestion as to some of the elements she would like to see in any proposal. The outcome was two in favor, 2 opposed, with trustee Clemens absent. During the LUSD board meeting of August 2nd, 2017, numerous members of the public spoke in favor of us exploring a policy that would potentially allow consumption of alcohol at events on district property. I told speakers and my fellow board members that it would be placed on a future Facilities Committee agenda with the possibility of bringing back a recommendation to the full board at a future meeting. At that time, none of my fellow board members raised any objection to it going to committee. I find it somewhat disingenuous that another board member would not recall these events while choosing to chastise me for my actions. I feel my integrity was called into question when it was alleged that I put my personal interests above those of the board and the district, and that I had abused my power as president and committee chair. I have not, do not, and will not ever put my personal interests above those of this board or district, nor have I ever abused the position of president. I'm not sure that can be said of all my fellow board members. Every vote I have ever made as a member of this board has been with one goal in mind: what's best for this district and our students. It was suggested that I owed an apology, and considering the above facts, an apology may indeed be in order. I shall leave it at that. As is my custom, I will be posting this committee report on my Facebook pages, along with links to the above referenced YouTube recordings of the cited LUSD meetings. And that concludes my facility report. policy committee meeting, our policy committee report.
Want to give it?
Yeah, sure. So Trustee Ballerini and I attended the policy committee meeting today, and we have determined a plan to review the past 3 policy updates from CSBA, and we will be reviewing those in the next 2 weeks, and then meeting again to discuss those updates. And once we've finished our discussion, we'll be sending those items to the board at a future board meeting.
Thank you. Safety committee?
Nothing to report.
Wellness committee, that is mine, and I do have a report. At our last facilities meeting, we discussed priorities of the committee, of what the priorities of the committee would be this year. Excuse me, the top priority will continue to be anti-bullying and character counts. We reviewed the update of the wellness plan, the physical fitness test results, and the placement of AEDs at district facilities. Also discussed was the possibility of adding a mental health position in the district and the character counts training, which took place this last Monday. And that concludes my report. Moving on to board reports. Madam Student Trustee.
So I just want to start off by wishing the whole Manos community a happy Diwali. Diwali is the Indian festival of lights that represents victory of good over evil, and it's actually celebrated today. Over the last 2 weeks, I attended the football senior night and senior tailgate, which were amazing events. I always want to thank the parents for those events because they always go out of their way to get the barbecues and everything, which is really nice. And I'm not personally involved in band, but I just wanted to say that band took 6 first place trophies in their past, I think it was tournament or whatever it was, but it was really crazy and a great achievement for our school, so I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Goodrich.
I have nothing to report, having just returned.
Thank you. Trustee Clemens.
I obviously attended the football game, but that was somewhat self-serving. So, but I did work concessions in the last home game as well. I did want to say, President Pombo, that as you know, we don't always agree. But I have always found you to have 100% integrity, and I just wanted to say publicly that I respect and admire the way that you are as a board trustee and president, and that your integrity is not in question and your ethics are not in question.
Thank you. Trustee Lampel.
I don't have anything to report at this time, but in relation to the Facilities Committee, I had a private conversation with President Pombo.
Thank you. Trustee Balzerini.
Monday, I had the opportunity to conduct a site visit at Wickland. Thank you to Mr. Gonzalez and his staff for allowing me to tag along all morning. It was very insightful. I got to visit a lot of classrooms, got to see a lot of the initiatives that we've been discussing here at the board level in action, and it really puts things into perspective. So it's a lot of good things going on the campus, and Mr. Gonzalez, as he should be, was very proud. So it's very impressive. I just wanted to thank the president of our board for putting on some of these issues. I'm very excited to work through some of the process issues that have kind of just been discussed now. Again, I'm more interested in making sure that the process is right on track. Thank you.
Thank you. My board report, I attended the aforementioned Wellness Committee meeting. I went to both the Mustang home football game against Ripon and the away game against Escalon. Although neither game resulted in a Mustang win, our boys never gave up and battled to the end in both games. Very impressive.
President Pombo, could I go back to something that I forgot to mention?
Certainly.
We have a conflict of events board. We have the white coat ceremony and the school board's dinner, the county, on November 2nd. So I would like to make sure that we are represented at both of those events. I plan on going to the white coat ceremony and not to the dinner because I had committed to that a long time ago. But I think it would be nice if we split ourselves up to go to both of those.
Trustee Von Pelle, it's on info and discussion,
Okay, never mind
so
then.
thank you for preempting.
Continuing on.
Let's see it.
I also took my fifth grade volleyball playing granddaughter, who goes to Lammersville, to her first Mountain House High School volleyball game against Escalon, and like the football team, they fought hard, but unfortunately, the result was a loss, but she had a good time and enjoyed watching the high schoolers playing volleyball, and I believe we have a future high school volleyball player on our hands. On Saturday, my wife and I volunteered for the first competition for the Mountain House High School Marching Band, which is somewhat self-serving as my son is part of the band, but I can talk about it anyhow. And I'm proud to report, as was previously mentioned, that the Mustangs swept their division, bringing home 6 first-place trophies and an overall first place in their division. On Monday, I attended the character counts training that I spoke about during my committee report, and found this training to be very informative, and I believe that it will be very helpful to staff in dealing with student behavior and bullying issues. And that concludes my report. Receiving of public comments. The board members shall give the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of an agenda item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public may also bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take the matter under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place a matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individuals shall be limited to 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item, and the board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. And I do not see any blue cards, and so, you may come forward. Just for the record, if you could please state your name.
My name is Ranita Wheatfall. I'm coming here today. I applied for the cheer coach position, and I got a very disturbing call today. First, I wanted to say I've been involved in cheerleading for about 20 years now. I've taken school programs to where the school wanted to just completely get rid of the cheer program, and I've turned it around, partnered with the band. I heard you guys mentioning the band, so that's one of the things that I like to do. I like to take programs and put them to that picture perfect where it's supposed to be. They're cohesive with the band, with the dance team, and kind of bring the entire unity together. Also, I had a competitive cheer company. That was my own company. I had that company for about 6 years. Unfortunately, I had to stop it. My husband was murdered, and I just couldn't continue, and that was in 2011. I just recently moved to Mountain House. I have a daughter and a son, twins, and I have another daughter. They're both on the Junior Mustangs team, and I'm helping volunteer with them as well. As I mentioned before, I applied for the cheer position for the high school because they need a coach. And I was talking to Miss Woods, and we were just kind of swapping ideas on how to bring the program bigger into a better place. Like I said, I have a competitive background, so I wanted to bring that forth. I have about 30 first place trophies in my background, but they told me that the HR called me today and said that I didn't pass the background check. So I know this is probably an unusual thing to bring to the board, but they told me that I can write a letter. I feel I'm always better in person than on paper. I did something really stupid. It was 10 years ago. I got convicted. I am a convicted felon. I did not know at this time that it would come up because it didn't come up for the Junior Mustangs. So I made the mistake of not disclosing it. And that was a mistake of mine. Like I said, it was 10 years ago. It does not reflect who I am and what I can bring to the program. I promise, like, you would never have anybody as passionate as me, as skilled as me, that really wants to come in. I've kind of been volunteering a little bit, so I've gotten to know some of the kids. There's a kid on the team named Jalen, and he's like full force ready for cheer scholarships and the whole nine. And in the past, that's something that I've done with my program because I know exactly what to do to get the kids that I've had kids. I coached San Francisco State University. So I guess basically what I just came here today was to ask for a second chance. I know that, it might not be the policy, it might not be what you're used to doing, but sometimes people make mistakes, and it was 10 years ago. I'm 38 now. Like, if I could rewind the hand of time, it was really stupid. I trusted my brother and shouldn't have did it, and, I dealt with it, went to court, all the stuff. I was convicted. It's not off of my record, but I would love the opportunity to put the cheer program where I feel like it should be. They've been struggling with coaches back and forth. Is that my time?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's just my piece. Just, if you would consider it, I think it would be a great justice for the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you work with the speaker in HR, and if there's anything...
We'll talk with Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to consent items for consideration, approval of governing board meeting minutes from October 4th, 2017, ratification of contracts under $25,000, ratification of 2017-2018 hires, approval of updated 2017-2018 fundraisers, budget revisions and warrants, declaration of surplus equipment, acceptance of donations. Winco provided a $100 gift card to the Mountain House High School Speech and Debate Sweet Show of Success. Is there anything that anyone would like to comment on, question? Or
Mr. President, we have one withdrawal from this, from the contracts under $25,000. There was a plan in place, and then the plan is, we've moved in a different direction. So on page 9, the $900 tutor, we are removing from that.
And I apologize, I was made aware of that, and I kind of thought about it after I had read it, so thank you for that. Anything further?
Move to approve consent items as amended by the superintendent.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.
Wait.
Oh,
We would like to welcome the following new employees to our district. Igor Hecht, library media teacher. Nita Cordy, library technician. Sheila Ratcliffe, noon duty supervisor. Brenda Tessendorf, 7th grade self-contained classroom teacher. And Micah Wynn, biology teacher. Welcome to our Lammersville family.
welcome. I apologize for that, Trustee Lampel.
That's okay, I'll catch you every time.
The new layout of the agenda caught me.
Yeah.
Moving on to item 2, District Administrative Report, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Nicholas?
So to kind of keep the momentum going from tonight's earlier ceremony, I have 3 very exciting and special announcements for some excellence going on in the district. So we've already had a kind of a little teaser about what happened with the band, so I'll give a little more detail. So the Mustang Brigade Band traveled down to Fresno at Washington Union High School, and they were the overall victors in their division. And they received first place for their division, but they also swept every division, including high music, high visual, high general effect, high color guard, and high percussion. Rumor has it they were also the best behaved, and their uniforms were the most attractive. So that's some pretty exciting stuff with our band program. So congratulations to them. We also received last week a notice from the Learning Council, which is an organization that has over 217,000 participants, organizations all the way through superintendents and individual educators. And we, the District of Lammersville, was named a top 10 school district for digital curriculum strategy, for which we are going to receive an award, and we have a small team going down to their conference in Las Vegas to be acknowledged. So again, top 10 district for digital curriculum strategy. And then because we're not competitive here in the district, there are a lot of rankings. Trustee Clemens brought up one that sometimes they need time to fix their data. But there's one out there called schooldigger.com. And last year, our rankings out of all of the school districts in their system, which is over 850, we were in the 150th ranking. Not this year. We moved up 57 ranking spots. So I can proudly say tonight that according to schooldigger.com, our district is a top 100 school district in the state of California. At number 93 ranked, this is an old term, so some of you might get this, with a bullet. That's a Casey Kasem reference for those of you that didn't listen to the top 40. We also have a short presentation and update on some of the reasons why our kids are doing so well. Has to do with some excellent teaching and excellent site leadership and excellent support from our curriculum department. So we're going to ask Assistant Superintendent Heather Sherburne to come up and give a quick update.
Just before you start, please, I just wanted to piggyback on something the superintendent said. He said it a little bit tongue-in-cheek about the best behaved, but I have it on good authority that the bus driver who spent over 5 hours with our kids, 2.5 down and 2.5 back, said that they were the most well-behaved and most respectful kids she had seen in a very long time. So I think that's something to be proud of. Assistant Superintendent Sherburne, please.
Good evening, trustees, President Pombo, Dr. Nicholas.
Welcome.
I am very pleased to be here tonight to share with you some of the really great work that has been going on to support our teachers so that they can be out there doing their very best work for our students, which clearly, looking at all of the awards that we've been earning lately, tonight as evidence, we are really doing. Our teachers are out there working hard. So I want to share with you the professional development offerings that we've had going on this year or will be continuing into the year. During this school year, we have several different types of offerings. We have year-long academies, we have full-day trainings, and then we have a Friday early release training, Tuesday coaches corners that we have going on weekly, and then we also want to provide on-demand coaching for teachers, which we're doing through Sign Up Genius. So I want to share a little bit more about those with you, but you can see what's listed up there for our different types of trainings that are going on to try and meet the needs of our teachers. So the New Hire Academy is something we started last year, and we take that it's not just teachers that are new to the profession, but it's anyone who is new to our district. We bring them in, welcome them, we train them on all of the digital curriculum that we have and technology that we have. We train them on the expectations for instruction within Lammersville Unified, and we pair them up with other people to help them learn and collaborate and get to know each other and feel like a welcome part of it. You can see some of the great comments. We gave them 2 full days of training prior to the start of the school year if they were hired at that time. And then we also paired them up with a teacher during that time who taught the same grade level or the same subject area department chair at the high school, so that they had an entire day to just go through the curriculum, go through the expectations for that grade level or content area, get to know the system, get on Canvas, and really work through some of the basic logistics to make sure that they got off to a good start for their particular department, just very specific to what they are teaching. Then we pull them back over the course of the year for some full-day trainings where they're released with a substitute teacher, and we also invite them to come to some after-school sessions where we give them little bits of information. So like right now we have parent conferences coming up, and we just spent time going through what would it look like to help you make sure you're prepared with your grades and your parent conferences. How do you use the MAP data? Here's a little bit more on Canvas, because Canvas is a big thing to learn for the high school and the middle school teachers. So those types of issues over the course of the year to make sure that they are able to pick up all of that information and have the support they need. Additionally, as part of that, our coaches are going out and they're visiting the new hires right there at their sites and just checking in to say, how is it going? What questions do you have? How can I help you? Any of those kinds of things. The Blended Learning Academy is another training that we offer throughout the year. They spend 5 days, well, 5 days the first year we did it, 4 days this year during the summer, 2 at the end of the previous school year and 2 at the beginning of this school year, to learn the new devices, learn what blended learning is all about, get some practice with using different technologies in the classroom, videotaping, Microsoft OneNote, Google Classroom, different ways that they can go about doing blended learning instruction. And then they meet as a cohort once a month for 2 hours after school, and they continue to learn tips and tricks. They set goals, and the instructional coaches are going out and working with them, observing them in the classrooms, giving them feedback, helping them tweak and develop their lessons to incorporate blended learning technology strategies into their instruction so that we become really solid 21st century teachers. As part of that, they get the Microsoft Surface tablet, they get a Novo Pro device, and they're learning how to use all of that within their classroom. 21st century classroom technology, as you are aware, this board generously went and approved our Measure L budget to transform Wickland and Lammersville, in this case, all of the classrooms. We implemented the classroom standard for the 65, 70-inch, I think 70-inch TVs that we have as the monitors in the classrooms, the Microsoft Surface tablets when we upgrade it, and the Novo Pros in those classrooms. But we don't want to just dump all of that equipment on the teachers, and they don't have any support for how to do that. So we're doing a mini version of the Blended Learning Academy. We met with them for a portion of one day during the buyback days at the start of the school year, and then we are following up with them on one of the Friday early releases at their site and doing additional training. The coaches have gone out and they have met with them, and the IT staff has also been really wonderful, checking in to make sure that they have their TVs up and running and they're learning little tips and tricks for using their Surface devices better and better throughout the year. So our August buyback days, we devoted time really to primarily with our younger teachers, younger grade level teachers, to increasing literacy knowledge and skills, and we're doing that through our new assessments of the DRA and the iRead technologies. So they receive the bulk of their training on those 2 things. The rest of the teachers had requested to have more time to attend workshops of their choice that were around students who had difficult behaviors and using different technology that was out there. So we put together a wide variety of workshops on technology, a wide variety of behavioral support kind of information, and then allowed the teachers to sign up in advance for which workshops they wanted to attend. So they attended those things that were most important and meaningful to them, and we had really nice results of people feeling very favorable about the professional development at the beginning of the year. The high school did something just a little bit different in that they worked on building more of their culture and looking at their initiatives and how do we continue to, in a brand new high school, fold in year after year of new hires in these mass waves and make sure that we're still creating a cohesive environment that has a real culture, and how do we make sure that they understand these new best practices that we're really implementing at the school with blended learning, mastery-based learning and grading, using rubrics, the collaboration model. So their time was devoted to that at the beginning of the school year. It's a slow click. Yay. The professional growth training that we're doing is working on Charlotte Danielson's framework for teaching, and that training had started last year from the Professional Growth Committee. Mr. Miller is the lead on this project, and he's working with LTA to bring about these new practices that really create an observation and evaluation model that is centered on professional growth, because we can all continue to learn and grow. So they are in the process this week of finishing up day 1 training for all of the teachers across the district. Administrators have been getting training and practice as well, and they'll continue that throughout the year. Our November 1st buyback day will be on day 2 of that training. So that's been very productive as well. What is up with our clicker?
You press the button.
You're mean.
Thanks, dude. All right, Coach's Corner. So Coach's Corner is something we tried out new this year, where all of the coaches, because they each have different areas of expertise, are going to one school site, and they rove to a different school site every week on Tuesday. But any teacher from any site is welcome and invited to attend, and they just drop in. They ask any questions, they can collaborate, they can plan, they can do anything they would like. So we've had anywhere from 2 or 3 to 7 teachers showing up and just getting help on demand on that Tuesday to plan their lessons, to get their grade book straightened out, to whatever they need, to model practicing the DRA assessments, all of those types of things. Think about literacy centers, just some really good on-demand support. And my favorite quote this week was one of the teachers saying, "Thank you so much for coming to our school site and just being right here available for me to ask questions. I really appreciate that you come out." So we really like that. And then lastly, I want to share we have Sign Up Genius coaching. So I have some amazing coordinators that work for me in the office. And one of the things that they figured out how to do is to allow teachers to sign up electronically for coaching time slots. So we didn't waste a whole lot of time emailing back and forth, when are you available, and all of that. And so the Sign Up Genius has just been an amazing tool. The coaches are booked solid. And so far this year already, they have gone out and provided 177 individualized, personalized coaching sessions. In some cases, there are even more teachers involved because a group of them said, "We want you to come out and help us with the DRA." So it's one coaching time slot, but we actually had 5 or 8 teachers in that session with the coaches. And so that has just been an absolute fabulous addition to our ability to support teachers and provide them with the on-demand support that they need. And that concludes my presentation on the professional development we have going on. Any questions?
No, but I have a comment. Were you about to say something? Okay. So it's obvious that the work from the Curriculum and Instruction Department, our coaches, the professional development, the teaching in the classroom, the parent support, and the dedication of our kids leads Lammersville to the results that we saw in this room tonight. This makes me so proud to be a member of this board and to be a part of this district, and it's no surprise that we are the highest performing district in San Joaquin County. So thank you and your staff for your hard work.
Absolutely.
That's something. Yeah, what I alluded to in my board report was exactly that. Watching the technology in the classrooms was amazing. And I mean, every grade level, second grade, they were going over math, and the teacher was walking around with their Surface Pro, writing on it. It was displaying on the TV. The kids were using them in the classrooms. It was great. So good work. Keep it up.
Well, and I wanted to say that a lot of times a district will adopt technology, and so they'll have materials in the classroom, but they won't necessarily be used in a way that's beneficial, or the training won't be provided to the staff to allow them to grow and develop, to continue to use that. And so I think with the professional development options that you're providing, whether it's, the Friday or the drop-in or the sign-up genius or the coaches' corners, you're providing a lot of options for teachers to get that development, but you're also providing a lot of expertise. And I don't think that if a teacher wants to learn, I think that those options are available for them to continue to grow and develop their craft. And that's truly amazing. And it shows that, they're taking advantage of it and that it's paying off. So thank you guys for all you're doing.
Thank you. You reminded me, I want to add one more piece of professional development that we offer that I neglected to include in the presentation. You just reminded me, we're also trying to model through the curriculum department our own use of blended learning. And so we provide, because the board has been generous and approved, kite learning for teachers to go on and at any point in time click and choose from hundreds of programs that have ISTE-approved professional development and learn how to use any kind of technology on their own, on demand. They can actually take an assessment and collect badges and earn it for those kinds of things. And we've also integrated in, for example, into our math RCD units, professional development videos that could help model for them how to teach that strategy in math. So it's not just the professional development that we provide, but it's sitting there in a link online that a teacher can access at any point in time. And so we've done that in wherever possible with any of the resources that we're putting out there available for teachers.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's paying off.
I'd like to say thank you to you and your staff and all the staff throughout the district, because we can throw all the technology out there that we want. If you guys aren't learning and teaching how to use it and taking full advantage of it, it doesn't really do a whole lot of good. So thank you very much. And I would also like to wish you a happy birthday, a little bit early, but happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
And we have one more, and if I could indulge or have Principal Buzito indulge me and come up to the podium. It's not her birthday, but we did want to show a before and after series of pictures at the Makerspace at Lammersville, and since she's living in it, I thought she and I can do this improvisationally. If you could take the clicker.
Just point of clarification, this is item C.
I think it's B.E.2.
In my notes, it's 10A subset 3.
10A.
Those are my notes.
Oh, I
This is all
thought,
part of the superintendent's report.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't see Mr. LeGrand here, and I thought maybe he was going to do this.
Thank you.
But,
Well, we'll tie them together. How about that?
sure.
All right, so this is the computer lab before it was what it is now, with old standalone, the archaic old.
Over that night?
You want to describe those computers?
You mean old archaic board members? Is that what you're getting at?
You're wearing a Giants sweatshirt, so I gave you a break.
Hours.
Powers.
That was our science fair evening, and we had a lot of computers taking up a vast majority of the space in there. And one of the goals when we were looking at what our needs were as a site was how could we better utilize the space? Because we had all of these computers, which are wonderful, but maybe we can repurpose them in different ways since we were already one-to-one with Chromebooks.
And it looks now like?
Wow.
Please excuse the boxes.
Very cool.
That is the before for the library. And this is the after in progress for our library as well. That wall that was separating it is gone. That is our front office. So on the television that you see there, we're still doing different things, utilizing that as a tool. It has our kids on it because that's why we're there. So that's our ray of sunshine. Lunch menu, very important. It has all of the upcoming events, so similar to like you receive on our Friday updates, those events are there for families as they're waiting to kind of remind them. And then very important, it has student birthdays on it as well for the week. That's my office. That's so, for those of you that are not familiar, but I took down one wall and built another. And so I cut my office, which had previously been a classroom, in half to make space for a teacher workroom so that we can get our adult items out of the kids' space, which is now the Infinity Lab.
So if you hit the button, I bet it's something amazing will show up.
That's the teacher workroom now. And so that is what used to be the back half of my office. That's where, if you're familiar, the sink and all of that was back there. So now it's the storage, the copy machines were moved into there, laminator, all that stuff's out of the kids' way.
So we wanted to give you an update. One of the things that it's important for the community and the board to understand is though the high school is the centerpiece of the investment from Measure L at the beginning of time here with the money that we have, and the support towards getting Hanson built. We're also working on all of our school sites. And we started with our oldest school and the school building, and we started with the makerspace, and they're also getting 21st century classrooms, which Assistant Superintendent Sherburne covered, and that's also happening at Wickland. So while new things are being built, established buildings and facilities are also being upgraded, so it's happening in both directions. But we want to thank you for your improv tonight.
Thank you.
And participating.
Well, and the thing is just the difference from the previous pictures of the empty library computer lab, that was very accurate, and now it's like ushering kids out of the doors after recess and things like that, after school, before school, time for class, you're going to be tardy, so it's the heart of the school.
Good job.
Great.
And that's my
Good job.
report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're done with C.
We're done with A.
We're done with A. B, enrollment
Try to
report.
rush along, I think.
All right. I thought we were hopping around. Item B, district enrollment report. Dr. Nicholas?
4,910.
We're getting there.
Getting there.
All right, now, item C, district maintenance and operations report. Mr. LeGrand.
Mr. LeGrand couldn't make it tonight, so we've asked Mr. Harrison to do the second half of C.
I guess that's it. Good evening, Board President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas.
Welcome.
I am here in lieu of Mr. LeGrand. I'm going to give his report. He attended all 3 construction meetings today at the high school, at AES, preschool, and Hanson. All 3 projects are progressing nicely. The playground at Lammersville is complete. They now are the recipients of blue cushion material in the playground and underneath the swing set that's right by the backstop. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. And if you walk on it, it's pretty interesting to walk on. You think that you're going to sink in, and you actually don't. It's pretty amazing material. Jimmy and his team are still working on the garden expansion project at Lammersville. They're trenching, adding water lines, and adding more boxes. The plan is to have all of the work wrapped up at the end of this week. Security camera update, plans have been delivered to the architect's office. They're having an issue finding good drawings for Lammersville, but they're doing a workaround. The drafter is working on the drawings now and should have 50% ready for us to review by next Friday. Jimmy is doing site walks with the architect and drafter next Monday and Tuesday, 10/23 and 10/24. At this time, his team is a little behind on work orders. We're behind by about a week on work orders, maybe 2 weeks on work orders. They hope to be caught up within the next 2 weeks on work orders around the district. And that is due to some major projects that they're finishing. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 11, action items. Consider approval of 2017-2018 intra-district transfer requests. Staff report?
None.
I'll move for approval of the 17-18 inter- and intra-district transfer requests as presented.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of school-sponsored overnight trip for Mountain House High School APCSP class members, Mountain House High School Girls Who Code Club, and Mountain House High School Next Gen Club to Gun Hawks at Gun High School in Palo Alto, California, October 27th and 28th. Staff report?
Yeah, the paper I just passed out, there was a correction on the initial field trip application where gun hacks was needed to be corrected. But it's our enthusiastic recommendation to approve the overnight trip.
So moved.
Second?
Further discussion or by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approval of Renaissance Learning contract from November 2017 through June 2019. Staff report?
Yeah, this is a program that's used as a reading incentive at all of our school sites. We discovered that if we ordered it all in bulk, that we could save, I think it was $2,500 and for the school site budgets. So we're bringing it forward as one item instead of having it divvied up amongst the school site budgets.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Questions or comments by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of Exhibit A of the Architects Services Agreement with Nichols, Melberg, and Rosetto for design and construction administration of the district warehouse. Staff report?
This is just another project moving forward for approval. Our storage, warehousing, intake, docking, and distribution center is most often the kitchenette in the district office. We've outgrown that. And so we've been investigating. We have a small warehouse now out in Lammersville. We're looking at filling that space with something that can handle that responsibility. With the amount of people, adults and students alike, we need to come up with a more efficient operations system. And so this work will help build us a warehouse so that we can do all of that work.
Move to approve Exhibit A of the Architectural Services Agreement with Nichols, Melberg, and Rosetto for design and construction administration of the district warehouse.
Second.
Question or comments by the board?
Well needed.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information and discussion items, Mountain House High School snack bar, restroom, and field house. Staff report?
Yeah, we're at a tipping point with this project, so I wanted to present to the board what has been a very intense effort on the part of Wes King, our architect, and myself, working with Turner to try to get subcontractors to come in with a bid that we would feel comfortable bringing to the board. It is currently a builder's market. Small projects are going to be more expensive than big projects. What I was going to present tonight actually shifted today in the construction meeting. We've given Turner 1 week to squeeze, for lack of a better word, the subcontractors who would do the work to get the price down as low as possible. We believe it's going to be expensive, more expensive than we want it to be, but materials are more expensive, subcontractors have work, and that's why it's a builder's market. So I'm giving a heads up that we're going to more than likely be bringing forward a recommendation to move forward with the project. It's going to come with a higher price than we wanted to. The good news on that is that our contingency on that Mountain House High School project is very healthy, and the money that would be left over would be applied to the cost of these final 3 buildings. But I also wanted the board to know that we've done our due diligence to look into the matter as much as possible. About a month's worth of work on this has been done. I don't think with 2 hurricanes and a fire that materials are going to get any less expensive or subcontractors are going to lose work. So I think it might be one where we've come out ahead on almost everything, and this one we're going to do and maybe hold our nose a little bit. But I wanted to communicate that to you before we brought it forward for formal approval.
Questions or comments by the board?
No, I concur. I mean, I was in the North Bay last week and just devastating. And yeah, that's not going to help any of this, so.
And this is really not a surprise, given, the resources that are going to, in terms of labor and materials that are going to get sucked into other areas. But the other thing that, the public needs to understand is that a small project like that doesn't have economies of scale. And when subcontractors are looking at bidding it, they're like, I've got to mobilize a team, I've got to manage it, I've got all these other really big projects over here that I could bid on, and the only thing that's going to make it worth my while is to make a higher margin on a smaller project. So in this environment, it's not a surprise. That's the way the market works. It's unfortunate. I don't like it, but it's the way the market works.
Well, and at the same time, I feel that the district and now the board's we've done our diligence, but this is very important for us as well. So it's definitely needed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I wasn't.
No, I just, in addition to it.
I appreciate staff and Turner Construction's efforts in this, and I agree with the rest of the board. I think we need to strike while the iron's hot and get this thing buttoned up and done. Thank you. Further questions or comments? Item B, Julius Cordes Elementary School Design.
So now it's time for some fun. So I'm going to ask our architect, Wes Keene, to come out. He's going to give you the first renderings of Cordes Elementary School.
Hopefully the clicker works.
Just push it really hard and repeatedly.
That's right. So as Dr. Nicholas said, primarily I'm here tonight to give you an update on Cordes Elementary's design, but I also wanted to just sort of backtrack and give you an update on the other current projects first. So that's where we're going to start. And so the high school, as it says on there, is on schedule to be complete by the end of December, probably just before Christmas. So if you get really motivated, Jimmy can move everyone in over the Christmas break, because I'm sure he doesn't have anything else he'd rather be doing. And I'm sure Dr. Nicholas will be sharing some pictures with you, but there is that's the theater up there above that. I have a bigger picture of that for you later. And then Hanson, as was mentioned, I believe, to you in the past, but just to confirm, we hit a couple hiccups as it's starting to come out of the ground, and so just wanted to let you know that we're all working together to get it back on schedule, to get the kids in on time. Now we prioritize getting those classroom buildings done first. It's one of those things where you can't live without classroom space, but you can live without administrative space or whatever when you open a school. So refocusing, working together with the contractor to make sure that they are on the same track as us to get the project done as fast as possible. So before I leave those two, let's see if you have any questions on that. Okay.
We got the opportunity at the last board meeting to go into the Learning Commons.
Oh,
and
cool.
Wow.
Yes.
Absolutely speechless. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the contractor's done a really good job. It's got that barrel ceiling, and that's not an easy thing to build.
It's beautiful.
Well, just so the board knows, we had our Golden Bell validation last week, and the delegate that came out, I took him over there, and impressed was not the word. I mean, he was in awe. He couldn't believe it. He's like, "This is a high school?" So, good job.
Thank you. So, Cordes Elementary, let's talk about some fun stuff. So, the design work is underway. I'm going to show you some of where we're at with that as we go through these next slides. And then, so we're going to be reviewing the site, the way we've laid out the site, and those we call the schematic model, which is the early design model. And then basically here today just to kind of get your blessing to keep going. And so that's the point. And then after we do that, we're going to talk about the Professional Development Center, which I'm sure Heather is anxious to get done. And so that work is paralleling Cordes, and we'll review the same things for that project as well and seek your blessing to keep going. So just to make sure everyone's awake, I used really bright colors on here. So this should look somewhat familiar to you. The Cordes site is laid out very similar to the Altamont site. And we were sort of given direction to use Altamont as a guide. And so my purpose in these next couple slides is to allow you to understand what we've changed and why we've changed it from what Altamont is. So when you walk out there, you go, this is not the same as Altamont. So just like Altamont, it has the parking in the front, and then the multi-use and the administration building are side by side, kind of creating the gateway entrance, very similar to Altamont. And it has the entry element there that people will walk under to go into the main campus. The buildings, the classroom buildings surround a central courtyard, and I feel like I'm being chased, Noel. And a shade structure, kind of lunch shelter, shade structure is in the middle there. So a couple of things that are different here is the shape of this administration building at Altamont is longer this way, and it we whacked off what is the computer lab there, and we moved it out in the back. And I'll explain why we did that in a minute. And then the Altamont site has a large high school size baseball field to help support the needs of the high school. In addition, right next to it on the left off the slide here is actually the park for Cordis neighborhood, and it also has a baseball field in it. So the two baseball fields will work together to support the needs of the high school. During the regular elementary school day, they can use the field for all their purposes as well. So trying to get some dual usage out of the site. It has a regular, like, Little League size baseball field, and then it's got around the backside surrounding is the basketball courts, your ball walls, and then it's got a playground structure for the kindergartners, the lower grade levels, and then the upper grade levels. So adjacent to it is that other building, which we'll talk about next. Any questions on the site layout? Okay. So this, as I was talking about, is the administration building, which is similar to Altamont, but we made a change to the layout of this building that we have already implemented at the Hanson site, which is that there's two doors in the administration area. So when the public comes in, they have to go through the administration area and out that door there to get onto the campus, which allows them to lock the gates in the front to keep the facility secure without constantly having to go out and have someone open that up. The second thing that we changed, as I mentioned before, was the computer lab, which used to be over here, is now becoming a maker space. And so it being a maker space is more supporting the whole campus, so we pulled it into the interior courtyard area, and that allowed us to make more room for the baseball field, which sits over there. This is one of the classroom buildings, which is basically identical to Altamont. The only thing that we are going to make is not reflected on here is a change to this restroom, which is services the kindergarten. Which again is a change that we made in Hanson, which is instead of having both classrooms share one restroom that has two fixtures, we're going to just put a single occupant restroom accessed only from each side. So that'll be the only change to this building. The next classroom building, again, is very much identical to Altamont. So I wanted to talk a little bit about grade levels, and I should have said it back here, so I'm going to back up. But you'll see you have kindergarten, kindergarten, and then flex. And then you've got first, and second. And so if we go on to the next building, again, you've got second, third, flex, and then third, fourth. And so what we've done is acknowledge that per the master plan, Cordis Elementary is supposed to have fewer students than Altamont. So the way for us to accommodate that in the buildings is to create flexible classrooms for you. And by flexible, I mean that you get to determine based on the enrollment levels of a particular grade level if that's going to become a first grade or a second grade or a kindergarten, etc. So that's why you'll see these flex classrooms throughout the buildings. So it has at least 3 classrooms for a grade level, whereas Altamont has 4. But you have the flex classrooms here that are filling the void between the two.
Wes, can you go back to the building that had the kindergarten? Okay, so we have, oh, I see. So that flex is up against a bathroom. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
So it's kind of like you can always use a kindergarten classroom for a regular classroom, but not the other way around, right?
Right. That's what I was looking, the access to the bathroom, if we needed an additional kinder, but it's there.
Can you go back to the kindergarten for just a minute? In regards to the bathrooms, are they full-size toilets or are they still the small toilets?
We actually we're going to experiment with that right now. So at Altamont, they're small toilets. And at the preschool that's at Cuesta, they're small toilets. But at Hanson, we've put in adult-sized toilets. And the thought was that's what they're used to using at home.
I know we've had the discussion before. I was just wondering if that made it into the
So
plans or not.
That would be the intention here, would be to go ahead and use the regular-sized toilets.
Just the discussion, I don't know if everyone was here, but at home, there's full-size toilets, so why would we, they're used to full-size toilets. Why do we need to have something different at school, so.
Just invest in a couple of little potty stools.
Right. Sorry.
No problem. So again, this is, second, third, fourth grade, and then this building is nearly identical to the last one, just different grade levels. And then this is the final building, which you'll notice is shorter than the rest, and it's just like Altamont has 2 smaller buildings and 3 larger buildings, and so we have 1 smaller building and 3 larger buildings at this campus. And then this is the multi-use. The multi-use is very similar to Altamont. It has the music classroom in it. It has a special ed classroom in it. It has the same type of stage with the ramp kind of tucked in behind it, and then the access from the outside, bathrooms, etc. over here. The one difference that we did make per Bernie's request is we've added walk-in refrigerator and freezers. So this area of the building got a little larger to accommodate that. So now we get to look at the cool pictures. So we got past the boring stuff. So this is just kind of an aerial view to start to see what it might look like. And so to remind everyone, just in case you're not aware, this Cordis site sits in the same neighborhood as the high school. And so the design vernacular for that is called Civic Italianate. So what you're going to basically be seeing is a mini high school. Basically think of the high school but in a single story version. So that's sort of the guide that we took. So this is again what the floor plans look like. You can see how they relate to each other. Again, this is that maker space that's sort of up front here to kind of better serve the classrooms instead of being tucked back there. And your multi-use, your parking is up there. We do have a small parking lot back on the side here. It's kind of more for service or staff. And then we have our required fire lane kind of coming around back there. So this is what we came up with for the elevation. So the north elevation would be what you would see if you were coming in the side where the parking lot is. I don't remember those street names yet. I haven't got them memorized, but from the north side of the campus. And so what you've got is the multi-use on this side, the library admin on this side, and you've got your entry element right in the middle. And then this is what it looks like from the back. And so it's got some nice features so that it doesn't look like it's just the back of the campus, but it's not as embellished, obviously, as the front of the campus.
And are there gates there in the back? Will that be accessible from anything? Because that'll back up to the high school, right?
No, actually, I should have given you a better orientation. This site here is kind of to the east of the high school, so there's the park right here, and then a street, Tradition Street, and then the high school is sort of up in this corner here.
Okay.
So it doesn't really back up to it, but it's near there. So this is what an aerial view of what it might look like from the bird's eye view.
It looks very similar to the first rendering of the district office.
Not the first one. Remember, we had a really small district office. The first
But I mean, just kind of the style, the roof style, and
yeah. It's going to have, it would have the same roof tiles that this building has. It has that same look to it. So this is the view from the back. So again, we envision that, there would be a gate here and students would be allowed to enter from the back side, when at the beginning and after school, and then you would lock that during the day.
So it was those facades that I thought were gates out to the park, but it's to the playground.
Oh, I got you.
I see that.
Yep. So this is like the front door. So you're looking at the parent drop-off lanes and then the kind of gateway entrance here. This is the administration building. This is the multi-use. And we put a little kind of colonnade that's out close to the drop-off lane, so there's a place for the kids to hang out if it's raining and they're waiting for mom and dad to pick them up. I thought that would be a good feature. And this is the front door, if you will, but you've got just a more bird's eye perspective. This is that colonnade I just mentioned, the entrance to the multi-use here, the entrance to the administration building on this side, and then these would be the gates that could be locked so that you come through to get into the building.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Again, this is the multi-use.
Wait, what's that?
There's a
What's
bus.
that yellow thing?
It's just
Single bus that the district owns, right?
it's a rendering of the bus we sold.
It's driving away.
We had a bus available in our modeling software, so we had to put it. This is a view of inside the courtyard, and you can see the shade structure, lunch shelter here, and then this is looking back at the front door, which is, this is the maker space here, and then the multi-use is over there. And then again, this is the back door, if you will. So I didn't really specifically point it out, but each building is connected by a covered walkway, so you can kind of go all the way around the perimeter of the courtyard without technically having to get wet.
Could you back up one slide?
Sure.
Is that a marquee?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that,
So we actually have two on that building, if I back up.
oh, okay.
One here, and then there's one on the back.
I'm like, that doesn't seem really visible to me.
So at Altamont, we noticed, because it's a very similar building, the one that is on the front of Altamont like this, sometimes when you're driving down the street, the roof lines are hiding it. And so we thought it made sense to put a second one out on the other side to kind of make it more visible from both directions.
Yep.
So again, that's the back. This is just another view. This would be the Little League baseball field here, and then the main campus there. We just put fencing in. We're still discussing, where exactly the delineations between the parts and pieces are at this point. All right, so any questions on Cordis before I go to the Professional Development Center? Okay. So the Professional Development Center shares the Cordis site. As you saw on the first slide, it's tucked in one corner so that it can be treated separate of the kids. We'll have a fence around this quadrant of the site to make sure that the two can be separate functions. It's got its own, it's got its own entrances. And what we've done is we've pulled the building to the front so it more faces the street, which is down here. And then there's a lot of parking in the back, which is needed for the building itself, but it also works great to support events that might be going on at these two baseball fields from the high school. So there'll be a nice joint use of that parking lot.
Smart.
Good.
Yeah. That's really smart.
So because of its orientation on the site, this is the front door, right? We try to put the front door towards most of the parking, but we've worked to make sure that the back of the building doesn't just look ugly too, since it faces the street. And so the main entrance of the site, you come in through here, and then the two big rooms are in the back here, and then you'll see on the next, when I show the plan, what it looks like. So what we've done, again, with the front door is here, coming in from the parking lot. There's a receptionist admin. My understanding is admin services both the departments that are going to be in this building. There's a small kitchen area for like wedding parties or, not cooking, but warming things up and cleaning things up. There's an area for chairs and tables and stuff to get stored. And then you go into the main room, and you'll notice the main room is divided into 4 pieces, and each part has a door to it. And the intent there is that these will be folding walls that would allow you to, decide, do I need this much space for my meeting, or do I need this much space for the meeting? So similar to this room, that it can be divided off to kind of decide what you need to do. They have a new product now that we intend to use, which actually doesn't have the pocket, which is what we call where it folds up to. It actually comes out of the ceiling now.
Oh,
so
cool.
it keeps the whole room wide open when the facility isn't broken up into pieces. So with that,
How large are those rooms?
it's designed to hold 150 people.
Total,
total inside all 4 rooms.
with this sort of seating?
Yeah. Yeah. So it can be, I think you could probably squeeze in more than that, but that's code-wise what we're designing it to. And it depends, again, if it's just straight chairs like this, or if it's a little skinny tables, kind of a learning classroom environment, it's going to vary, but that's the target was 150 people. So again, each quarter of the space has its own door to the outside, so if you needed to program the spaces separately, you could. You've got your restrooms up front here, and then the IT department is on one side, and the curriculum department is on the other side. And then you've got a conference room that can be shared with them or available for just district use in general. Since it's accessed outside of any of the departments, it's more central. Okay. And so this is what the building is programmed to look like. Very similar to the Cordis site, or this building for that matter. It's basically, again, you got the main entry front door here. This is sort of a side entrance because it goes more directly towards that kitchen area. And then this would be the side that faces the street, where you've got a nice colonnade that makes it look like it's not the back of the building, but it's simple at the same time. And then we put lots of places for you to put whatever signage you decide to call it. All right? I think that's the end. Oh, wait. There's more. That. So I only brought you this one view of what it looks like in 3 dimensions, but.
It's good, Wes.
Yeah.
Happy to answer any questions.
Looks great. Thank you very much.
When will it be
Great
finished?
Yeah.
I was going to say, how fast can it be built?
We are working rapidly, so it won't be too long. It'll be under, it's going to open for students in 2020, right? So it's going to be under construction this time next year.
Yeah.
So it's not that far away. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Wes.
Item C, school colors and mascots. Staff report?
So I thought we'd review the process for determining school colors and mascots. So we're going to pull it up here real quick. So there's a couple of different shifts along the way. We have to wait for the whale to land.
What is whales, I guess?
All right. So school colors and mascots. We also want to introduce Jen Lonzo tonight, who is learning how to use that beast of a machine over there. Nice job, Jen Lonzo. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so this is literally is true. Last week there was a Yelp in the office, and we only have the Yelp because there's screams for wolf spiders and there's little sounds you hear, but when there's a particular Yelp that is only associated with snakes. This is Slithering Sammy the Snake, our district mascot. However, his cousin was seen slithering out of Alvina's office. That's the Yelp. So I couldn't hide behind Thor because he was at a meeting, so I was forced to step up. And so with the help of a piece of cardboard and a garbage can, I was able to take Slithering Sammy the Snake out of the office and release him into the wild, which happens to be right next to the district office. So with the second snake, captured by Rena, one of our HR department folks, this morning, we thought we would have a conversation about identifying mascots for the school. So we can have the next slide. All right, so the schools without mascots presently are Peter Hansen, Cordis, Evelyn Costa, which would be south of Grant Lane Road at the neighborhood AB school. And just to remind the board, Mr. Camilos, the developer, is putting in infrastructure right now. Moore's Landing Elementary, already named, is north of the Byron Highway, And the second neighborhood over there, Old River Elementary, would be the last of the schools that need to be built. So there's a number of schools named, but no mascots and colors. Next slide, please. These are presently our mascots. If you notice, there's a cat theme for K-8 schools and a horse theme for the high school. Next slide, please. We have done some research, and there are some very popular, well-known named mascots. The tiger, the puma, the leopard, the cheetah, and then, of course, the mountain lion, because a panther, a cheetah, a puma, and a mountain lion are all basically the same animal, but it's all good. So next slide, please. So in the past, we have sought input for the mascot and the school colors with limited choices to the village students. So I'm seeking direction in a sense, with all seriousness, but a little tongue-in-cheek. We have 5 more K-8 schools, and do we want to continue the cat theme? And I understand that there was an attempt in the past to do alliterations, thus slithering Sammy the Snake. And an example here is the Old River Ocelots, which is a smaller version of a cheetah, I understand. So we are going to need to name Hanson and pick colors. And so we wanted to get some direction if you wanted to keep with this theme, keep with the cats, try to alliterate when possible, though that would limit our choices, and just have a quick, fun discussion about what you guys, if we want to keep going with the plan.
I like the cat theme.
I like the cat theme.
I like the cat theme for the high school, but I was not successful in that endeavor, but what's done is done. I would like to see us keep the cats at the K-8s if possible, but that's just my personal opinion.
I would concur with that.
I'm a crazy cat lady. I go with the cats.
I think we should try to keep with the cats. I think the alliteration has been great, but I don't think that we can find cats that start with all of the letters.
Eventually, we're going to have to work backwards, figure out the cat, and then name the...
Exactly, there you go.
Then name the village as, yeah, right.
We could have the Hanson House Cats.
The Hanson House Cats.
That will strike fear into the heart.
It might be the Peter Hansen Pumas.
Well, have you seen the house cats we have in Mountain House? They're frequently mistaken for mountain lions.
Yes.
That is true. That is true.
All right, so the direction I hear is keep using the system, ask the kids, give them a set of limited choices, maybe 3 sets of colors and three cat names, and keep it rolling.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
The only input I would have as far as colors is we seem to have some colors repeated over and over with our campuses, and I would be in favor of seeing some new colors. It makes it a lot easier for clothing and such.
Yeah, we're going to need to vary it up a little. We've got a lot of red and black at a lot of our campuses. So I would say we should eliminate black as a choice because we have black at Wickland and black at Cuesta and black at Altamont, if I'm correct. So I think we should take black off the list.
Okay,
Right.
so we'll move towards the blues and the greens and the grays. And yeah.
Yellow, orange, white.
Yes.
No.
Further question or comments by the board on school colors and mascots? Moving on to item D, Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 1330, Use of School Facilities, Community Relations, Alcohol Events. Staff report?
I have none. This is for the board's discussion.
I do have a comment, actually. I understand there was quite a bit of discussion while I was gone last week, and I have watched the video. And I've watched the video from May. And I know that there are members of our board that have well-formed opinions, and I respect those opinions. I also understand that there are members of our board that wish to address some of the concerns of the community. And And I feel as though a lot of this discussion went on without me, and I am sort of the odd man out. So I've prepared a brief statement. I think that there has been some consensus amongst the board members about the unopened alcohol in gift baskets. But there has not been a decision made by our board about that topic. And I believe that also our community is very unusual in the state of California in that our community was designed so that people could walk to and from the schools without the use of cars. This is not how most communities in California are designed. Thus, it makes our community rather unusual, and perhaps there is no policy in other communities because other communities aren't designed this way. Also, I think that a lot of this discussion is about the existing facilities, which are schools. And we just saw a great presentation about a professional development community facility, which is not a school, which hasn't been thought about in this realm either. So I would like to see the Facilities Committee discuss and bring forward some recommendations to the board that take into consideration the uniqueness of our community, the future facilities that our community is building, some of the issues that we have some consensus about, and bring some recommendations which then the board may or may not approve. But I think that a lot of the discussion that our board had last meeting was very polarizing, and that there are options that perhaps a larger committee might be able to tease out that the 4 or 5 of us may not have thought of. That's all.
Thank you. Further discussion by the board?
I said last time, I don't think this is a decision for a committee. I know the committee just makes a recommendation. I don't think it belongs in the committee. I think it belongs solely here with the board.
I agree. I think that the board needs to make a decision, but that the committee may want to make some recommendations to us.
I also have to say I have not heard an overwhelming desire in this area from the community. I think I have received 5 emails, and how many people have we had come talk to us that one night back in, what was that, May? Or June?
5 or 6.
5 or 6. That, to me, that's not an overwhelming amount of people that are asking for this. We have almost 5,000 kids, and I've heard from less than 20 people. So I don't see the desire. I'm not hearing the desire.
To be on the flip side of that, I've heard not one parent come to that podium and speak against it. I've heard some people up here speak against it. I have not heard parents come and say, we don't want this. So it's 20-0 in that sense. We can discuss this as long as my fellow board members would like. If there's further discussion, please speak up. If not, I would like to ask for consensus to continue with the committee work on this.
Well, I will just say that this is absolutely a facility issue, but it's not our facility issue. This is a community issue, and this is an issue that does not belong in the realm of this board, but in the other elected official board in this community. The developers need to step up to the plate and give this community what they desire. Most communities have some sort of center that they can go, whether it be city-owned or some sort of nonprofit organization, but that's the issue. And we are constantly the Band-Aid for everything when it comes to facility use, from sports to church to everything else in this community. And at some point, and I feel strongly that this is the point, we as a board need to stand up and say, no, we get it, but you need to take it to the right board and they need to do something about it. They need to work with these developers and build what this community desires. Our facilities are beautiful, but they're for the kids. They're not for the adults. And that's the part that I continue to struggle with is it's not our issue.
Well, I agree with Trustee Balzerini that I wish the other board in this community would build some facilities for our use. They haven't, although I understand they're coming just a few years after Safeway.
Touche.
The point is, our state has decided that this is something that is allowable at our school facilities, and I just feel like we owe it to our community to investigate the possibilities, and if we, as a committee and then as a board, decide that's not the direction we want to go in, then that'll be the decision. But I would like to continue the work at the committee level, bring back a recommendation not only for consuming alcohol at district facilities, but also have a board policy about the wine in a basket or those sorts of things, so that we have policy to delineate what our rules and ideals are.
I still have to ask why. We already made a decision, and nothing has changed. We've seen no examples from other, long time ago, when the law first came in. We decided no, right?
Yep.
Am I mistaken on that?
We decided not to change the policy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that ad infinitum? That means we'll never change a policy once we decide that's the policy?
I said why. Why are we considering this now? That's what I don't understand, because it hasn't been a long time. Nothing has changed. We were looking for examples in other school districts. We haven't seen any. I haven't heard any. I work in the field. I've never heard of a district that has moved in this direction. Therefore, we haven't been able to get examples. So I still have the question, why? I mean, it's not like we developed a policy 10 years ago and it's outdated and we should be revisiting it, which we do. We addressed this, I don't remember how long it's been, a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah.
So I was just asking why, that's all.
And my perception is that, because I don't know whether I'm in favor of allowing events to have alcohol on campus or not. I think that for me, the investigation, the reason why we would want to investigate is because it's been a year and a half. I mean, when we first investigated it, the reason why there were no policies out there was because the law was brand new. So I promise you, nobody in California had a policy that was going to work, because it was illegal and then it wasn't illegal. And so now the why is it's been a year and a half. The why is there are people in the community that are saying, well, why can't we do this? And rather than saying you can't do it because we said you can't do it a year and a half ago, I would much rather say you can't do it because we've looked into it and there is no effective way to do it. And I think that in order to say there is no effective way to do it, rather than say the CSBA says you're crazy or this or that or the other thing, I think we owe it to the people to actually consider it. That's it.
I'm willing to have the discussion at the board level, not at the committee level. If we want to have staff do the research and have a workshop, a board workshop or something, I think it's important enough and it's controversial enough that it needs to remain at the board level. I don't feel that it should go to the committee level.
Well, I feel like the rules continue to be changed. At the last board meeting, it was suggested that we bring it back for consensus to continue it at the committee level, and that is what I intend to do. So I would like to ask for consensus now to continue on at the committee level with this. Trustee Goodrich?
Well, I have a question before we...
Okay.
So, at the last meeting, my understanding was that it was about process, that it was about the committee should make a report to the board. And so now,
No, that was not my issue at all. The issue that I had is that we didn't have consensus from the board to take it to committee, which there's a larger conversation, I believe it's on the agenda, is what is the purpose of the committee? What power does the committee have? And the committee is supposed to be advisory to the board, and that's the way the policy reads.
And that's what we want to do.
Okay, but first the board needs to send it to the committee.
And that's what I'm asking for now.
I understand that. However, there are issues that don't necessarily have to go to committee, and this, I think, is one of them, because it's that important. I think that if it's going to be a discussion, it should be a discussion with all of us, and not two of us and other people that aren't on this board or elected. I think that this is important enough that we should discuss it, but
So then is your...
please have the discussion.
In the same vein, is your idea that we should not have a policy committee because policy is too important to put in the realm of a committee? I
honestly don't care if we have a policy committee or not. I mean, if you want to start kind of nitpicking, that's fine, but I just think that this is something that this board is very divided on. There's not many policies that the board's divided on, but this is something the board's divided on, and I think this would be a great exercise to work through together.
And I think that it is much more tenable for a committee to come back with recommendations to the board, and then the board work through those recommendations rather than tying up a bunch of board meeting time with it.
That's fair.
So I would like to, at this time, ask for consensus. Trustee Goodrich?
I think that it would be wise to send it to the committee since the board is so divided on this topic at this point.
Thank you. Trustee Clemens?
I say it should be considered, and I'm okay with considering it at the committee, Mr. President.
Trustee Lampel?
I think it needs to be considered by the board.
Thank you. Trustee Belzerini?
I will have a go to committee if that committee will bring back recommendations that can start a conversation with the board. So I think that committee level, and then I think ultimately we're going to have a workshop, so at least that'll give us a starting point. So that's fine.
So I think, sounds as though we have consensus to continue on with it at the committee level, at least preliminarily. So we will be going forward with the November 28th committee workshop on a possible policy change, and unless there's...
I do have one item. I'd like to keep all research done in the state of California.
I agree.
Looking at states outside of California should not be part of the conversation.
I guess since we are dealing with a California state law, that is probably an acceptable compromise.
I just don't want staff chasing something that's not even, should be part of the conversation, that's all.
Further comments?
I'm okay with that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item E, Board Committee Facilities. Staff report?
Again, a topic for a board conversation.
What's the difference between D and E?
There were two specific directions, one on the specific topic of alcohol in our facilities, the second about the purpose and function of the subcommittee, the board subcommittee on facilities.
And this was the issue that I had, is that what is the scope of the committee? The committee is supposed to operate at the pleasure of the board, and we need to make sure that we're all on the same understanding of what that is, and anything outside of that scope needs to be approved by the board and given direction to the committee. That's the purpose of the committee.
And I don't disagree with any of that. As I stated earlier, when I asked for, I didn't ask for consensus, I asked for opinion of my fellow board members, and we had 2 in favor of taking it to the committee and 2 opposed. I, at that point, had decided I would drop it. Then we had a large contingent of I believe there were 8, but that's beside the point, of individuals from the community that came and spoke in favor. And at that time, I stated my plan to take it to the committee and see if we could come up with some sort of a possible policy change. And there was no one spoke against that at that time, so I moved forward, and that's...
Mr. President, I'm not talking about this specific issue. I'd like to look at it from a higher level, the policy and the understanding of what the policy is, and make sure we all understand what the goal of the committee is and what they have responsibility for and what they don't have responsibility for. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. That was my issue. And if it's something outside of the scope of the committee, then we should have board consensus to take it to the committee. I saw in the last meeting there was discussion about how to utilize funds from the account that's been set up from the facilities. I think that's something that the board should be looking at. At least be recommended to the board. And I'm not saying that hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet. I know you guys haven't taken action yet, but when it does, I just hope that that's going to be the process.
In my recollection, the committee never makes a final decision. We make recommendations to the board, which are then approved by the board either in consent agenda or otherwise. I don't think the committee has made any unilateral decisions. We make recommendations to the board.
And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page on that.
And that's, I don't feel like any committee has any power to make decisions at the committee level. I think we have the power, any of the committees have the power to make recommendations to the board as far as policy changes or those sorts of...
Just to confirm that this board has given that committee the authority to approve and deny requests, right?
True.
That's an exception. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I know different board members were here.
Actually, the way I recall it was, and this was like my first board meeting, I think, was when then President Balzerini was on the committee, was asked for a consensus of the board that that the facilities committee essentially had the ability to make a decision to deny requests, and that it would stick rather than, they say something and it comes here and we overturn it, and they say something. And I think the consensus was, yes, you have the ability to make that decision and it'll stick for that one, but the board reserves the right to say, well, okay, going forward, we think we want to direct it this way. That's how I recall it.
Yeah. And I think that summarizes the conversation very well.
I think we also need to address how committee members are chosen and to have something in writing about that.
There actually is. It's in the policy.
Okay, I don't remember.
It's
been a long time since we appointed members to any committee.
Well, it's by the president with the, what's the word, ratification by the board? I believe that's the word.
And I believe that's how it's been handled. I know when I've appointed people, I've basically asked them, what committee do you want to be on? Or do you want to get off of? And
no, I think we're talking about the community.
No, I'm talking about community members, not us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think that it needs to be, I don't know that we've done it in the past, and I think it should be formalized on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure that we add them. Because I reviewed the policy, and I think that it needs to be board action. It needs to be on the agenda.
I'm to clarify, are we saying that members of the community are board action, or members of the board are board action?
Members of the community.
On the committees?
Yes.
Okay.
Appointed to the committees, yeah.
All right.
And how long they're on and stuff like that.
All right.
That should probably be identified also, how long their term is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So can we send that back to committee?
Troublemaker.
Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you. Item F, local indicators approval, staff report.
Yes, so one of the things we have to do to meet the requirements of the state is to have a local indicator approval process. Tonight, we're going to have Assistant Superintendent Sherburne and Associate Sup Harrison give a overview of what we're doing with the local indicators, and then we'll bring it forward for a board approval at the next meeting to meet the deadline.
Redeem yourself. Good evening, Board President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Tonight, Heather and I have the... I'm sorry?
Good evening and welcome again.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Tonight, Heather and I are going to talk to you a little bit about the LCFF and LCAP dashboard data points. And if you look at the document in front of you, I'm going to read from the middle column to the right, and then we're going to jump to the left, and you'll understand why when we do it. The two columns on the right are the California dashboard state indicators, which is on the left, and then local indicators on the right. So the column that says state indicators, 5x5 grid, those indicators that are listed below there are the indicators that Heather did a presentation on about a month and a half ago. And that was the 5x5 colorful grids that Heather did a presentation on and showed you how the grids work. So the state indicators are priority 4, which is pupil achievement, which is an academic indicator, English learner progress, college and career indicators, which are graduates prepared, approaching prepared or not prepared, and then priority 5 is pupil engagement with grad rate, suspension rate, and chronic absenteeism. So those are all indicators that were on the 5x5 grid that Heather gave a presentation on previously. And it generates the pies, thank you. The pies that everybody
Trivial
remembers.
Pursuit pieces.
Exactly, yes. We're trying to fill them up. So on the right side tonight, what I wanted to talk to you about is priority 1. These are all the local indicators. So the local indicators that we are required to fulfill are priority 1, which is Williams Act, which the board meeting convenes and ratifies minutes to certify that students have books and a safe school environment, et cetera. And then priority 2, which is the implementation of the state standards. That is a self-reflection tool which we work on and fill out, and then there's a brief narrative that we fill in that indicates how we are implementing the new state standards. And then priority 3, which is parent involvement. Parent involvement involves a variety of different activities through our school district. The CTE survey, agendas, sign-in forms from school site council, DAC, DLAC, parent nights, GATE, and other activities that involve sign-in sheets and surveys, and just communication with parents in the community. And then priority 6 involves school climate. Now for school climate, there is a survey required to fulfill this priority 6. What we use in our school district is the California Healthy Kids Survey. So that chicks that you see there, that's the California Healthy Kids Survey. And we deliver that survey at each of the 3 grade spans, 5th, 7th, and 9th. Historically, we've given that survey to grades 7, 9, and 11. Moving forward, we're going to be giving it to 5th, 7, and 9 so that we can use that as a priority 6 indicator. It also informs us of what's going on in our school sites in relation to drugs, alcohol, bullying, etc. So what Heather's going to talk to you about are the local analytics. That is the column on the right.
Good evening. So for the local analytics, we are of course looking at all of the state data that we're collecting. We're looking at the big picture of our CASP scores, as well as looking at the subpopulation and how those students are doing. We are also looking at our graduation rate and college and career readiness and other things that the state indicators are looking at. Additionally, though, we are looking at our AP tests and who are taking and passing 3 or more tests. We're looking at the EAP score, which indicates whether or not students are college ready and is generated from CASP. We're looking at our local data for the students off of MAP testing that we do 3 times a year, and our local data off of the DRA and iRead, which are early literacy indicator analytics, and then the A to G completion rate. So if you look at what that might look like per, sorry, I'm having clicker fear now. If you look at what that looks like by the grade level, you can see the state data on the right-hand side of the table, and those are the testing things that are done that we really have little control over. And then you can see the data that we are looking at in Lammersville Unified. All of the things that are not highlighted are assessments that are given every year to help teachers inform and shape instruction and understand and monitor student progress. Those that are highlighted there in yellow would be the assessments that we use as our benchmark at a grade level that correlate with our strategic plan right now. So we've indicated first, fourth, eighth, and 12th, which is why they're highlighted blue, shaded blue, as our target grade levels that we just take that litmus test of how is everything going in terms of indicating progress towards what we would want for our 12th graders at the end of the year. And so in first grade, we'd be looking at map reading data. Fourth grade, we're looking at reading and writing. In eighth grade, looking at math and being algebra ready. And by 12th grade, being college and career ready. So we're pulling that out of data we are already collecting, and we're looking at it even more infinitely at that, or intensely at the benchmark litmus test level. And that concludes our presentation.
Heather, what would be the measurements for college and career ready?
Oh my goodness.
What would we
when
be
we're looking
looking
at
at?
that A to G completion rate, the CTE pathways, the EAP score that's generated out of CASP.
Okay, thank you.
And those are indicators 8 and 9, which aren't finalized yet. So that's still in construction.
Yeah.
I have to say it, I know I've been contacted by parents and they say that we overtest, but what better way to find out where our students are at and to make sure they're receiving the appropriate, education or skills in the classroom. I don't feel that we're overtesting at all. I know it looks like a lot, but I also understand how important it is. And again, when I visit in the classroom, Mr. Gonzalez was showing me, he says, yeah, they're all in different groups based upon their level in this subject, which to me makes perfect sense. I mean, in the working world, we work in smaller groups and it's collaboration and they're helping each other. And it just makes sense to me. I think that this direction is really a good one for education. So good job.
Thank you.
And if I can just say, the state is rolling out a new measurement accountability system. This is going to take 2 or 3 or 4 years for it to make sense. The pie charts are not going to make sense. We're going to get a lot of blues and greens, which are the good colors, but we may, over a period of a couple of years, get a yellow or an orange here and there, simply because we have a growing district. We are building a high school. We're adjusting the Common Core. I think the overall test scores that Assistant Superintendent Sherburne presented last board meeting that showed a significant growth in our district on the CASP and ELA and math across the district, both in the macro and micro level, is the indicator for the community to hang its hat on for right now. We have separated from the field for the San Joaquin County school districts. We have leaped over Livermore by a significant chunk. And that's really to be noted while we make all these adjustments and the state builds its system. So it's not a perfect system from the state. I think by the time it's done, it'll be intelligently explainable.
I remember a wise man once said, the state of California is making us build a plane while we're flying it.
Always. And, it's parents in every district think we're over-testing. It's not just Lammersville. And what a lot of non-educators don't see is that it's not just testing to have a score and do a beautiful ceremony like we did tonight. It's really guiding the teaching. It's giving the teachers the information that they need to know to help their students grow to be able to have a ceremony like this with this many kids. Our teachers, when we were kids, didn't do that. They taught whatever was in the book. The next page, you didn't get it, oh well, we kept going. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Item G, November 2nd events. San Joaquin County Annual School Board's dinner and the white coat ceremony were placed on the same night, so we have some decisions we need to make.
I didn't get to go to White Coat last year, but I did go to the dinner, so I kind of felt, I really wanted to go to White Coat.
All right. Trustee Goodrich?
I have no problem skipping White Coat if I can go next year. How's that?
All right.
And I already expressed I'd like to go to the white coat.
All right. I was thinking I would go wherever the minority was, but I guess I'm the tiebreaker. I have been to the CSBA dinner. I have not been to the White Coat, so I think I will go to the White Coat this year. Thank you.
Mr. President, I do have one very important question.
What are people eating?
Trustee Goodrich, would you like to have chicken, salmon, or a veggie plate?
Say steak. Steak.
I didn't get to say steak. I'll have salmon, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
The calendar. Wednesday, November 1st is Staff Development Day, and there's no school for students. Also, Wednesday, November 1st is our next regularly scheduled board meeting at 7 p.m.
Mr. President, just so
yeah.
you know, my father's getting the Retired Firefighter of the Year in San Francisco, and I have to be there, so I will not be at the meeting.
Congratulations to you and your father.
Yeah, and I'd like to piggyback on that. There's an event at work that night, so we need to make sure that there will be 3 board members here, because I might not make it. We have a big Dia de los Muertos thing going on, and I need to go to that.
I will be here.
I will absolutely be here. Sorry.
As will I, barring any unfortunate circumstances. Monday, November 6th is the next District Advisory Committee meeting at 6:30. Wednesday, the 15th is the Safety Committee at 3:30. Thursday, the 16th is the DLAC meeting at 6:30. And Tuesday, November 28th is the Education Extracurricular meeting at 6:30. Where will that meeting be taking place? Here?
Those are usually here, yeah.
That presents a scheduling conflict if we're having the committee workshop for the Facilities Committee that was tentatively scheduled for that night. We can move the location or move the night.
Just tell Wes to get that professional development center built.
That's a little tough.
I think we can probably reach out to the committee and see if we can schedule that for a different night. Associate Superintendent, thank you. I would just like to say thank you to my fellow board members for the robust and respectful discussions that we conducted during this meeting, which I am proud to say is the norm with this board. So thank you all very much.
I concur.
And in a moment, we will be adjourning to closed session where we will be discussing public employee discipline dismissal release complaint, conference with legal counsel, a couple of pending litigation issues, conference with legal property negotiators on the, it looks like a couple of school site issues. And with that, I will entertain a motion.
A move.
Adjourn.
Go ahead.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now adjourned to closed session. Thank you all for your attendance.